the Paramount Warner Brothers merger. A lot of people have had opinions on this. First, with Netflix, they said, no, Netflix, that's not what we want. And then the Paramount Warner merger happened. And then, no, we don't want that either. Jamie Lee Curtis had some comments that have gotten some attention. Let's see what she has to say about it.
Speaking of today's world, big news happening in the industry with Paramount and Warner Brothers. What are your thoughts on the potential merger?
You know what? I am not versed enough in what the real ramifications. I mean, any consolidation.
She's not versed enough. Maybe she could be on Versus, but maybe like there are a multitude of topics that I do not have an opinion on, because I don't feel, even though I know about these topics, I don't feel comfortable expressing an opinion because I don't know enough to add anything useful to the conversation, which I would say, make of that what you will. That's my policy. You do you.
But didn't her father and mother grow up in the brought up through the studio system? I mean,
right. I you know what? Honestly, I like Jamie Lee Curtis. I like the Halloween films. But let's hear what she has to say on this.
Is always going to ask questions about how much power does that one large company hold over what we see and hear, and who takes the decisions within that company. It's not a democracy. It's run by businessmen. So are we now going to be fed content based on what that businessman's political and creative vision is? Or can art still exist within that framework? And that's always the question anytime there's a big consolidation of creative business entities into one mashup. What's going to take the precedent and be the thing that drives the most? And I hope art will continue to be the driver and not politics.
I agree with what she had to say about consolidation. I think the more players, the more competition, the better. Fewer players, that's fewer different voices. Now we're seeing, I mean, Paramount Warner will result in 15 movies a year being released from Paramount, 15 from Warner, 15 from Paramount. So 30 theatrical releases, some of them tent poles. I would probably add at least make it 25 a year from each, and make 10 movies that are tinier that you roll the dice on and say, I don't know, it only cost $5 million. It could be, who knows? Let's see. For the,
I mean, if that was the model, if it was like 10, let's see, 10 poles and 20 indies or 20 low budget.
Yeah, or 15 tent poles. You've got 10 movies under 5 million to up and coming directors that you can groom in a good way. You groom these filmmakers in a way that like prepares them for bigger projects. You know, Chris Nolan didn't just sprout. He made a little 16 millimeter indie movie that played at Slam Dance called Following. He followed that up with a movie made for a couple million called Memento that the next year was at Sundance. And then he did a movie for Warner Brothers that I really didn't like. It starred Robin Williams, and that I didn't love it.
Which one was that one?
I forget the name of it even. The chat knows. But that was a bigger budget. You can't throw these directors, you know, you've got to like scale up and have them move up the ladder in terms of budget. But
Insomnia, that was it.
Yeah, Insomnia, that was it. Thanks, chat. Love you guys. But her point about the politics, you mean Hasn't that already been happening with everything anyways?
Let me frame that
Please.
Okay. So you have, I'll just say you have 5 studios, major studios, and you're fine with it because why? They agree with the same politics that you have. But now one of them decides to have the politics that you don't have. And so now one out of the 5 doesn't share your same politics. And now you're upset because of that one. This is why this argument is stupid, at least the political argument. The competition she called it being run by businessmen. I call it the lack of competition. The important thing about having many studios is that they are competing against each other. By competing against each other, you're going to get a wide diversity of films because they're all going to go after broader audiences or more niche audiences. And then you're also going to lower the cost of making a movie because now everyone's in competition to get the resources to make those movies. As opposed to having one mega company that basically runs the theatrical business. Because now, like I said, the current theaters are at the mercies of the big studios. And what we want to happen is that that theaters can actually start becoming more independent from the studios, not beholden to their windows, not beholden to what you can screen and what you cannot screen, where you can screen it. But now you have smaller films that make a little bit more money for the theaters in competition with that. That's the important thing of having more studios as opposed to having all this consolidation going on.
And you know what? She has a right to have that opinion.
Sure.
I would say I'm glad she didn't really state out loud exactly what political, side. She just said, generally, you could apply that to a lot of companies.
The thing is, there's 2 sides, a left and right. And, you need to have both. The problem is we've only had one. And now this threat of Paramount becoming the other one is just a stupid argument to me. Let Paramount look. I don't think Paramount is a right-wing conservative Republican outlet, but they're at least willing to venture out in that direction. And by all means, go for it. And the other studios should do that as well.
Well, I think ultimately my prediction, follow the money in terms of that's what they're going to be doing, following the money, looking for, I don't expect there to be conservative or right-leaning content coming out of Paramount WB. What I expect is movies that will more than likely be non-political or get back to values that we can all agree upon.
Yeah.
And I mean, by all, I mean left and right can agree upon great storytelling that inspires, is aspirational, and just it's sort of in a non-political way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to make 30 movies, then make them across the spectrum.